Well, with Jay Monahan dropping this bomb on us that now the PGA Tour is looking for a new CEO, we've got a pro golfer joining us. And to give us a little bit of insight, weighing in on what he thinks is some of these new PGA Tour rules, how they're going to be shortening the fields. I don't know. There's chaos going on. We've got the one and only Ben Adams, or as he goes by on social media, Ben Utah Golf. I thought your last name was Utah. It's not. That's fine. It's a cool last name anyway. Maybe like a country music singer. Ben, how's it going, man? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. It's going well. It actually is my middle name. So, all is not lost. It is my legal middle name. So Ben Utah is my real name, just not a last name.
Please tell me you watch Point Break then.
You're not the first person to ask that, and I'm going to have to disappoint one more person.
All right, moving right along.
No
I've never
idea.
seen that either, so I don't understand the reference. Ben, so obviously somebody who's pursuing golf at a professional level wants to find their way onto the PGA Tour and play golf at the highest level. You find out that there's this press release that comes out from the PGA Tour coming from Jay Monahan and basically from the top down saying that they're basically shrinking the game. What does this mean to somebody like you when you hear this news? I mean, you jump on your feed, your Instagram, your TikTok, however it is you get your news, and you hear something like that. Kind of take us inside your world and really what this all means to you.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is just super disappointing to hear that from this tour, this thing that I've idealized my whole life, right? Like growing up as a kid in Augusta, I'm dreaming of playing on the PGA Tour, dreaming of winning these tournaments and majors and stuff. And then to start this channel, following my journey from average guy to golfer, professional golfer, and to hear that was really just kind of like slap in the face. I'm like, man, I had this kind of track in my brain where I thought it was going to go. And PGA Tour is obviously a very high aspiration. Starting last year as like a 6.5 handicap, like to say that I'm going to make the PGA Tour would be aggressive. But it's there as a goal, as a dream. And then when we start cutting fields, especially the Monday qualifiers, I think the Monday qualifier cut was what hurt the most, because a lot of guys that I play with on these mini tours, like that's their life, is trying to Monday qualify. I've caddied for people at Monday qualifiers. I've been in that environment. It's real for a lot of these guys trying to earn a check, trying to make it to the show just one time. And then to hear that could be going away potentially forever, man, I mean, just totally dashes the dreams. Not just myself, but a lot of guys out here on the mini tours.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think even for me as an outsider, I'm a hack. You know what I mean? One of my best shots in my bag is the old chunk and run. But I love the game. I love participating. I love watching. I love everything about it. And for me, I feel like there's something to this underdog story. Somebody with this chance for a player who's been grinding but doesn't have the support, doesn't have the team, doesn't have a physiotherapist flying in on the PJ to come stretch out their inner quads before they, whatever, get into the Thursday round. And it's like, I think that is so incredibly cool that every once in a while we get this opportunity where somebody comes out of nowhere. They show up with their bag. They come in with their caddy, maybe in a rental car or a U-Haul truck or however they got there. And they Monday qualify in, and then they show up and the week comes together and things are happening and the stars are aligning and they really do make an impact in that tournament. And for me to think about that disappearing, I don't understand how that is called growing the game. Am I missing something here?
No, and I don't understand how it achieves their goal anyway. Like their goal, which they stated, was to improve the competitive product, improve pace of play. And we're talking about 4 guys getting into the field every week based on a Monday qualifier. Like eliminating that, is that really going to improve the pace of play or competitive product? I don't think so. I think it hurts it. I mean, we talk about guys like John Daly being the 9th alternate for his PGA Championship win. Talk about a competitive product. That's huge. Like when a guy like that makes such a big run, that's stuff of legend. We still talk about that to this day, right? And so I think eliminating that kills storylines. And when I posted that video on my social media about how I would disagreed with the changes, so many comments were like, we don't watch PGA Tour for the last 100 or the last 75 guys in the field. We watch it for the top 25. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying, but I also don't agree, because I think the better storylines are at the back of the field, like the Wesley Bryants. He's had a really good run this last couple of weeks of the fall season trying to earn his card back. Like, that's exciting to me. And I don't. This may be aggressive. We're going to find out. But think about Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa. Name any one of those guys you want. If you were a non-golfer, if you're a non-PGA Tour fan, you see them playing on any given Sunday. How different do they look? They're almost the same. Like there's no recognizable difference in their game style. Like back in the day, we had Greg Norman and we had Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, and these guys had different swings, different games. And now we have a bunch of cookie cutters. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to these guys because they're doing what works, they're doing what succeeds. But is that really why I want to watch the PGA Tour? To watch a bunch of copy and paste players to play the round the exactly the same way? I don't know. It's not exciting to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we even look at guys like, I mean, obviously, Jake Knapp wasn't a Monday qualifier kind of guy, but essentially, go back 7, 8, 9 months, we didn't know his name. There wasn't a big line for autographs, I'm sure, over in the kids zone, outside the range on a practice day. But you know what? He has his day. He's out at, I think it was at the Mexico Open, and he just shows up, completely shines, plays his ass off, and now he's a guy we know. And so now, do we put him in that top group and we're like, oh no, protect him, he's in the top, or do we push him out because we're like, well, no, he's actually in the bottom? And he transitioned. And he's now a name that we can talk about. He's a guy who's a lot of fun to watch swing. He's got that gigantic backswing, John Daly looking, but it's smooth and it's buttery and it's different and it's fun. And for me, it's like, so we're going to start eliminating these opportunities for finding these new stars, these new people we can fall in love with and watch their journey and grow with, but I have a question for you. I mean, when you look at something like this, and you may not know either, but I don't understand how these policy boards work. I don't understand really where decision-making is coming from. But in your opinion, do you think this is something that is more pushed from the players' policy board, the players that sit on that PGA Tour board? Or do you think this is something that this is more suit and tie wearing decision makers are concocting what they think is best for the tour?
Oh man, it's tough because I don't know how different those two things are.
Yeah.
I think behind closed doors, that might be the same group of people.
It's interesting.
And I think they may just have this plan working towards an end goal that they want and clearly they believe in. And that's all well and good. But I think if you brought in some of the guys that are around 100 or 125 trying to make that cut, I don't know they come to the same conclusion. In fact, I would probably be certain they don't. And maybe even the guys on the Korn Ferry Tour, what are they thinking about this? Because I think there's 5 less spots from the Korn Ferry now or something like that. I think if you ask those guys in the bubble, you're going to get a very different answer than if you ask the top 20 players in the world who are all sitting in the room with the suits. I think that conversation looks very different.
And look how they treat the guys like Rory McIlroy that was a leader for the PGA when this whole live thing was going down. And then, they're opportunists, and then the PGA does what's best for them. And then they leave Rory without even really caring. And then Rory's sitting there going, he's losing his fan base because he's trying, all these guys are trying to be so politically perfect and social media, typecast. And they're so afraid to be like a Jordan or a Tiger who, like you said, has an oar that we want to watch. Everybody is exactly, walks the same. They get nervous. I don't want to watch Iron Man be nervous. I want to see him be cocky. Go out there and be cocky as shit.
All right.
They deserve it.
Ben, question. Patrick Cantlay's on the PGA Tour policy board, obviously very criticized for slow play. Do you think this is all Patrick Cantlay's fault?
No, I don't. But am I happy to blame him? Yeah, sure. Why not? It's easy to blame Patrick Cantlay, and I'm not trying to make enemies here, but he's an easy guy to hate on. So if he's going down, I'll jump on board.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. I really do appreciate the PGA Tour. I love Live Golf. I love all of golf, and I love giving these guys a hard time. But at the end of the day, I think Patrick Cantlay re-won my heart during Hatgate back at the Ryder Cup in Rome. So, hard feelings. I've put a lot of that aside. He represented our country well. But before we let you go, give us a rundown. Gary and I, we play a ton of golf together. We're out banging balls. We're morons. We're having a great time. But give me a quick rundown of sort of a day or what fits into a week of properly practicing and training to play better golf?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that I've had to learn over the course of this journey because as much grief as I get for it, and all the average guy stick going to pro is like I really was kind of just a dude, and still am. So that's been a big learning curve in terms of I had to get a trainer, and so I'm working with like a TPI certified trainer. We do workouts like 3 to 4 times a week, targeted on specific mobility issues, specific strength issues that are like kind of interwoven with my swing and what I'm trying to change. And then I'd say I'm at the golf course 7 days a week, basically 6 or 7, depending on rain and stuff like that. But I get any given day, I usually start with like an hour and a half of range work, working on the swing. I like to play early in the day, so I'll play 9 holes and then come back in and then hit chipping, putting, probably go back out for another 9. And typical day, probably 6 hours of practice. Again, it's hard to focus that long, and so I think that's a big thing for me.
Yeah,
I have to break it up, and that's one thing I really like about having the media presence is I'm kind of a creative person in general. So I knew that going out there and having the Tiger mindset of 8 hours a day and run 10 miles after 18 holes, like that's not going to work for me.
yeah,
So having this creative part where I get to come home and edit videos and shoot stuff and interact with people like you guys, like that's been really fun, and I think that's helped kind of take the pressure off of it. Because talking about like the mini tour side of things, it operates very professionally, especially if you go down to like one that's kind of been around a while, like the minor league golf tour in Florida. These guys aren't bad. Like compared to the PGA Tour players, like we're not talking about a whole lot of difference here.
yeah.
PGA Tour players are just taking advantage of their opportunities a little bit more and more consistent, or just right place, right time. But I played a tour event, minor league tour event down in Florida recently, and the dude that won shot 60, broke the course record. I mean, these guys are like legitimately very good players, and I think that's one thing from the mini tour side of things that really hurts is the distinction between a PGA Tour player and a mini tour, like a high level mini tour player, is not as far as a lot of people think. And so I think to limit opportunities is what really hurts because it's so close. Like it's not like this big distinction.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, and you talk about, a guy in a mini tour going out and shooting a course record. That could be the weekend where the stars align, where he Monday cues and things happen and stuff starts rolling. And again, now, boom, we have a new name that we get to say, oh no, he's in the top of the stack, protect him. And things happen that quick. Exactly like to your point, the John Daly moment, 9th alternate, driving in his car through the middle of the night and gets a message at his hotel or something, just all these crazy circumstances before cell phones and everything. And it's like, why do we want to put an end to the opportunity of these magical moments? And I couldn't agree more with you how heartbreaking it is to think that that's potentially disappearing. One more question for you. So Ben, Utah Golf is your TikTok. You're not in Utah though, are you?
No, I'm in Savannah. I get that question so much. My parents were married in Utah. They eloped to Utah and fell in love with it out there. So that's how I ended up with the name. I've been plenty of times.
Now he's going to watch Point
I'm not
Break.
a complete poser.
I also saw you were wearing a Masters shirt in one of your videos. Have you been?
Oh yeah. I've been to the Masters a few times. Growing up in Augusta, everybody's like, "Oh, you played, right?" I'm like, "I don't think you know how this works." But yeah, I've been to every day of the Masters, but a different day. And it was like we never got tickets, we never won the raffle, but friends of friends would have a ticket. They wouldn't go for the afternoon, so they'd give us the badge, and they knew I was a golfer as a kid and let me go there and see Tiger and all these guys. And man, it was so much fun. The place, if you guys haven't been, it is. I mean, there's nothing like it. There's no way I can describe what it's like.
I wonder which aspect of like practice that we do that Ben would find interesting or want to like adapt into his own thing, because we have so many different ways to like stay focused and have fun and be competitive and stuff. It'd be fun to have him out on the range with us one day.
It would be a wonderful video where Ben takes us through the process of proper practice, and then we take Ben through Dan and Gary practice, and you let us know if there's even anything remotely helpful going on in what we're doing. But
super helpful.
I need that.
But to answer your previous question, I've been to the Masters. Gary's still on the waiting list. We're still working on getting him out there.
I'd rather go to the PG than what you're doing this week.
Oh, wait. I'm going to the media day at the new TGL SoFi Center to check out the new indoor thing. I'll be there tomorrow morning. I'm flying out tonight. And then I'll be at the PNC the rest of the weekend, hopefully trying to ask the John Daly boys some good questions and maybe see if I can get Tiger and Charlie to throw something my way as well.
Tiger.
Awesome. Hey, Ben, dude, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insight, man. We got to have you back on. If we ever cross paths locally, maybe we can do this not via video conference and we can do some video in person. That'd be awesome, man.
Good luck, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. I'd love to be out there. Hey, like I said, I need the help on the range. I take this is a game. I take it a little too seriously. I need to lighten up. And I'll be down at TGL in January too, so maybe I'll see you down there.
That'll be awesome, man. All right, guys, give him a follow. I follow him on Ben Utah Golf on TikTok. I know he's on Instagram. He's everywhere. And Rich also just found out he's Googleable. So if you're not finding it, you can Google the guy. You know, that's sort of a point when you've made it. All right, Ben, dude, thank you so much. We'll catch up with you soon, man.
Yep. Thank you, guys.